nothing, nothing will keep us together. Oh, we can beat them forever and ever. We can be heroes. Oh, hello there. Yeah, nice of you to drop in. Excuse me, having a bit of a jam there. Haven't picked up my guitar in a while. Anyway, welcome to story time. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I want to tell you a couple of little stories of certain things that have happened during my spiritual life. Where I started from, I'll give you a quick rundown there. There's a little bit of a story involved there. It's an interesting one. I started reading tarot cards when I was about 13 years old, and around about the age of 16, 17, I started getting a certain reading in a deck of cards. I could pick that deck of cards up, throw it right across the room, pick it all up, shuffle it again, same reading will come up, same line, and it had to do with my mother's death. Now, this sort of freaked me out a bit. I didn't believe this at all. But I watched my mum go downhill for 18 months and finally watched her pass away. Now, at that point, two things happened. One, threw the tarot cards away. Didn't want to know about them. And two, I didn't take my mother's death very nicely. And what it did to me was I got very determined to find out what happens during the process of death, what happens after death, what happens to us, where do we go, and had a lot of spiritual questions. So I spent quite a bit of time looking into all that side of stuff. So for the next year I wouldn't touch tarot cards. Now what happened after that was a year after my mum's death, I was walking home from the pub one night with a mate. We were absolutely pissed, crawling in the gutter pissed. It was 2:30 in the morning and we were walking past this house and my mate saw the light on and he said, I know the people that live there. Come on, let's go and say hi. And I grabbed him by the shoulder and I was like, oh, mate, nah. It's 2:30 in the morning. Go see him, tomorrow. It's too late. Nah, we're pissed. Nah. So yeah, we'll be right. Come on. So anyway, off we toddled to the door. He knocked on the door. Lady opened up the door, and she looked at my mate and said, "G'day, Jace. How are you?" Then she looked up and looked at me and she said, "You read tarot cards." And I didn't know I've never met her before. She said, "You read tarot cards. I've been waiting for you. Come on in." Anyway, I was like, rightio, pretty weird. Right, okay. So we went into the lounge room. She immediately walked off, come back into the room with a deck of tarot cards and threw them at me and said, "I want you to read now." I looked at her and said, sorry, but I'm pissed and I don't read. I do not read. Said, "You did and you're going to right now." I went, right, okay. So here I was, starting off this tarot card reading for her, and it went absolute garbage. And she turned around and she said, "Right, sit back, now I want you to do it like this." And by the end of that night she was teaching me that I didn't need tarot cards, and that I could do a straight medium type reading. And she was turned out to be a very exceptionally good medium of the area, and she took me under her wing only for about 6 months, but after the first 3 weeks I was so besotted with her. It was like, wow, this person's got answers. This is where I can get my answers from. So she took me under her wing and she taught me a lot of different things, a lot about healing, a lot about clairvoyancy, mediumship, tarot reading, psychometry, house cleansings, all sorts of things within that 6 month period. Within the first 3 weeks, she had me taking some of her clients to do readings for them. So she did a real crash course on me. In a matter of 3 weeks, I was doing so much. But anyway, so that's where I first started all of that from, and that was, by then I was 19, and I was well and truly on the way. Now a lot happened after that, but during the course of that 6 months, there was one thing I want to tell you about. She taught me about guides, and the way she taught me that they were real was, she asked me to go into her son's, she had a baby son, she asked me to go into her son's bedroom, and she said, I want you to go in the dark into my son's bedroom. He was sleeping in a cot, and I want you to put the most malicious thoughts in your mind, your intent to hurt my son, and walk towards that cot. And no, that's not me. No, I don't have a malicious bone in my body. No. And she said, no, I want you to do that. Rightio. Okay. So I walked in, and half-heartedly I walked towards the cot, thinking, okay, baby, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt you, baby. I'm going to hurt you. I started walking towards the cot, and I felt a slight push at my chest. And I felt like I was being pushed backwards just a little bit. And I stopped, and I thought, no, I'm making this up. No. So I walked back out and said, no, I can't do it. And she said, no, you go and do it with the hardest thoughts you've got. My guides are going to show you something. They're going to show you they exist. So anyway, I thought, okay. So I hardened up a bit and thought, all right, she wants to show me something, rightio. So I walked back into the room with some pretty not nice thoughts towards the baby, with a little bit of, I wouldn't say a full intent, but it was like that intent there. And I started walking towards the baby, and all of a sudden I got a bang in her chest, and I got pushed back a couple of feet, and it was just like and it virtually almost winded me, it was like, it shocked the shit out of me. And I walked out of there and explained what had happened. She said, that is my guides protecting my baby. So it was physically, she showed me physical evidence of her guides being strong enough to be able to forcibly, physically hit me and push me back. So that's one story there. Second story I want to tell you happened not so long back at all. I work in a hospital, and part of my job is that I occasionally get called to remove the body from the room and take them down to the mortuary. Anyway, there was one particular day, I was working in the basement area where the mortuary is, and there's a lot of different things down there at the hospital in the basement level, different departments and whatever else. But there's a back roller door, and I just finished doing something at the back roller door, and I pushed a button to lower the back roller door, and I turned around, and right behind me, a couple of feet away, there was around about 6-7 feet away, there was a bin, one of the big green wheelie bin things, and above the bin was an arm, just the arm, here onwards, floating in midair, going like that, just the arm. And I thought, okay, well, this is pretty cool. I wonder what's going on here. And it was like the arm was waving. I thought, okay. It was a female arm. It looked like it had a very thin sort of nighty type of thing with a bit of a frilly sort of thing on the cuff there. And it only stayed for a couple of seconds, and probably about 5 or 6 seconds at the most, and then it disappeared completely, just disappeared, just vanished out of the blue. The arm looked quite solid, and then I thought, okay, I wonder who's passed away recently. So I went upstairs and I went into the supervisor's office where there's a mortuary register. And I went and had a look in the mortuary register, and lo and behold, the night before, a lady who I'd gotten to know through the hospital, taken her down to different x-rays and scans and things, spoken to quite frequently over a course of a couple of years that she'd been in and out. She'd passed away that night. And so my thoughts went to, perhaps this waving arm was this lady saying bye-bye, thanks for all the fishes. So that's two very quick stories of some of the spiritual happenings in my life, and believe me, over the last 45 years I've had quite a lot. So I might tell you some more stories a little bit later on, and we might just use this little blog as a story time blog for you, and I may relay some more experiences for you. Let us know what you think if you want to hear any more. Cheers. Bye. Thanks for listening.